Welcome to the SPE Podcast, powered by the Society of Petroleum Engineers. You're listening to the December 2023 episode of the SPE President's Podcast, Creating Our Energy Future with SPE President Terry Palisch. And now your moderator, SPE Regional Director, North America, Simeon Iburi.
Hello, I'm Simeon Iburi, SPE Regional Director, North America, and Reservoir Management Advisor with Chevron. I'm pleased to join the 2024 President Terry Palisch on his monthly podcast to talk about the benefit of joining and being involved with the local SPE section. Thank you for inviting me to join you on this podcast. As a regional director, I'm passionate about the sections and the work they do, as I know you are, Terry.
Well, thank you, Simeon. And first, look, I just want to thank you for joining us today and being a part of the episode. I asked you to join because I do know your passion and, of course, your experience at the Gulf Coast section. And, my goal today is I just want to ensure our members recognize how being active in their local section can help their professional development. So, I just thought that you would be the perfect host. I believe that when most people, both members and external, think about SPE, they typically think about the local section. That's what most are exposed to. So I kind of consider the local section the front lines of our society. The sections, they're key to SPE's mission of connecting. We'll probably talk a little bit about that more later in more detail. But, I just want to focus our members on, how they can benefit by connecting to their local section or student chapter if they're students, because I think the local sections can impact not only their education and career, but their energy future.
I agree with you, Terry. Sections are the front lines, and I think you're right. I was very involved with my local section in Houston, Texas, long before I was the regional director or in the SPI board. But for people who don't know what are SPE sections, let's start there. What are sections and what do they do?
Well, why don't we start with a few statistics? We have over 200 sections worldwide. They're located in 85 countries. So wherever you're located, there should be a section near you. The first section was the Mid-Continent section in Tulsa in 1917. So over 100 years ago, it was actually established before SP was incorporated. The first international section was about 40 years later, the Western Venezuela section in Maracaibo, Venezuela. One of the most recent sections is the Central Ukraine section in Kiev, and established in 2022. So we continue to add sections. We also continue to, at times, reinstate sections that may have fallen behind. This year, we've reinstated the Libya section, the Tunisia section. I was actually at the opening of the Tunisia section, which was a lot of fun. Our sections are wide-ranging in size. So the two largest sections are the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia and your Gulf Coast section. They have well over 8,000 members. But what's really interesting is that the average SP section size is over 300, but the median is under 150. So what that means is we have a lot of sections that are smaller than 150 members. And so it really kind of takes us to that idea of being the grassroots. Each of the sections operate independently. I kind of call them semi-autonomous. They're local in their local area. They're also each unique in that they respond really to the needs of their local section members and the local community. They provide technical exchange, networking opportunities, and of course they engage locally with the community. So, like I said, I think they're the grassroots of the society. They're really the face of SPE at the local level.
Thank you, Terry, for sharing these statistics about global sections. With SPE being a global society, I can see where the sections covering the globe are important for the mission of SPE. But let me ask you a question on that. How are new sections created or established? Can anyone create a section around the world?
Yeah, it's not too terribly difficult. I mean, we encourage members in areas that aren't being served by a local section to create a section. It takes really a minimum of 25 professional members, so you need some critical mass. All those members, of course, need to reside in the geographic area where they want to create a local section. And then they need to basically elect their board. They typically need a minimum of 5 board members, including the chairperson, program chair, a membership chair, secretary, and treasurer. So that's really the process. And I'm sure you've been a part of those processes before. But if you're a member and you're in an area of the world that doesn't have a section that's being serviced, that's the process by which you get established.
Yeah, thanks for sharing that, because I know that there probably people who've been members of sections for a long time, and they probably don't remember how a section was created. Staying on the topic of sections, I've heard you say you've visited quite a few sections and chapters around the world. That is one of your favorite things to do as a president. Can you expand on that? Where have you been? Why are they the heart of the mission of SPE?
Well, why don't I take your second question first, Simeon? I believe strongly that the section enables us to fulfill our mission of connecting our members. Our mission really can be stated very simply as connecting our members to technology, connecting our members to other members, and connecting our members to the external stakeholders. And I think that the SP local section is at the heart of that. So as far as connecting members to technology, as a local section, they typically put together technical talks. They bring in speakers, local, maybe not from other areas. They give technology talks. They may put on a local event, maybe a symposium, some sort of workshop or something like that. Of course, they bring in distinguished lectures provided by SPI. So that's how they connect to our members to technology. When it comes to connecting our members to other members, of course, you can do that at the monthly meetings or the periodic meetings whenever the section gets together, but they also have socials. They may have other events for networking, maybe a golf tournament or a clay shoot sections do a whole host of things to help members connect and network and collaborate. And then last, and the one that I think is sometimes overlooked, the impact that our local sections have on the external stakeholders. They are in our local communities, and our sections, when you read their annual reports, they do a tremendous amount of philanthropic work. I was actually looking through fiscal year 2022, and I added up our sections across the world gave over $1 million total in scholarship money to students. And so they do that support. They may support a student chapter. All student chapters need a sponsor. They support the local community in a wide variety of ways, food banks, shelters, things like that. So, this is one of the reasons why I enjoy visiting the sections and the student chapters as well, because I get to meet the members who are in the trenches that are, they're working hard for SPE and their local community. They're typically passionate. They're passionate about our society. They're passionate about SP. But they're also passionate about our industry. And, quite frankly, that's contagious. I'll give you a couple examples. One of my first visits as incoming president was with the Ecuador section in December of last year, about a year ago, where we celebrated their 30th anniversary as being a section. And it was a lot of fun to meet the local leadership, the minister, some of the local companies. In February, I actually got to attend the Oklahoma City section Mardi Gras. That's a wonderful evening fundraiser. They raise funds for a local boys club. They have a lot of fun, but at the same time raise funds for a good cause. In September, I was at the Aberdeen section. They did something interesting there. I was there in conjunction with Offshore Europe, and the Aberdeen section put on a half-day seminar for local high school guidance counselors. Which was really interesting, because what they did was they explained, the importance, not just the importance of our industry, but the future jobs that are going to be available and the type of technologies and things that people are going to have to work on, and really kind of help them push people into STEM programs, but also help those guidance counselors guide high school students to move to our industry. It included a tour of the show floor. And so I heard a lot of great feedback on that. Where else? I went to the Tunisia section, as I mentioned before, for their reinstatement. They were putting on an African energy security summit, which was really interesting. It was very well put together, and they were excited about getting reestablished there. And Simeon, I could go on and on. You've probably got way more examples than I do, but I just sometimes wish I could bottle the excitement and convey it to all of our members in the industry.
Very interesting, Terry. Thank you for sharing all the sections you visited and the impact those sections have on their local community and the passion that you can clearly see and feel from visiting those sections. SPE to me feels like a big family. We have SPE membership in common, and when you go and talk to different members across the world, you feel that common ground in the SPE membership. So. Tell me a bit more about your SPE membership, Terry. You've been an SPE member for over 40 years. What made you join SPE, and when did you make the decision to volunteer?
Wow, that's an interesting question. I think if you talk to most members, there a lot of members are going to credit their involvement and leadership with SPE sections, as instrumental in their careers. I know we've talked about it before, and I know your involvement in the Gulf Coast section is very similar to mine. And I'm sure you have similar stories, but like most, I joined SPE when I was in college. I joined, of course, the student chapter at the time. And to be quite honest, I joined because I wanted to get something on my resume and ultimately get a job. But over the years, what I've gotten out of the local section as I've joined the professional ranks, it has evolved, and it's really evolved with what my job was and my needs and my professional needs. Initially I would call myself an attender, probably the same as a lot of SPE members. I attended local section meetings whenever the topic was something that I thought would help me in my particular job. I might go to a golf tournament or some social to network and really, have some fun. But it's interesting, as I moved from ARCO to Carbo, I began to kind of change my focus because I realized that really the benefits of networking and really looking for potential clients and educating people on what our company did. And so I kind of made a decision that I was going to start attending all the local meetings, all the local events that I could possibly go to, because I wanted to network, and I met so many more people. It was just amazing. And this is then when I guess I started volunteering, and to be clear, I didn't just set out one day and say, I'm going to volunteer. I probably should have, but I didn't. But really, my first volunteering work happened because somebody asked me to. Two things kind of happened at the same time. At the local section, Danny Bell, who was the education committee chair, asked me if I would serve on that committee. Eventually, I was asked to serve as a program chair, and then finally as the section chair. At the same time, I was asked by Carl Montgomery to serve on the Drilling and Completions Award Committee. That was an international committee. So it was just really interesting that as I began participating more people were asking me to volunteer. And the good thing about it was I said yes. I think many times we tend to say no or not sure we have time, but for me, it's been time well spent. So, just to kind of tie up this decision, for me personally, this is also where I began developing leadership skills. Leading the Dallas section, leading some of the committees, of course, leading ATCE, all those things, kind of continue to feed off each other. And, one of the things I always like to tell students and young members is, I was a leader in the Dallas section long before I was the vice president at Carbo, but certainly that professional soft skill work is what drove a lot of my success outside of the SPE.
I like that, Terry, and I know you share some of the important things about volunteering. One, someone has to ask you. Sometimes that helps. And then, of course, if the answer is yes, that makes a perfect match. So thanks for sharing that. And I will share my side is a similar story, actually a very similar SPE journey. I joined in college as well for the same reasons I think you joined. But then after that, I became involved with the Gulf Coast section in Houston as a young professional member. I chaired the Young Professional Committee. And then coincidentally, similar to your story, Terry, I also chaired the Education Committee in the Gulf Coast section, and eventually chaired the Gulf Coast section, and that led me to become a regional director and board member at SPE level. Now, you did mention about leadership skills and soft skills. I know a lot of people connect SPE a lot with technical knowledge, technical dissemination, and it's easy to make the connection with the technical side of SPE. You join the drilling study group or the completion study group, and that's linked directly to your career, your profession. Can you share one or two examples on leadership skills and soft skills that you develop or refine while participating in your local section or an SPE in general? And how have those soft skills and leadership skills helped you professionally and throughout the rest of your journey in SPE?
Yeah, wow, that's a big question. I think about it. I think I agree 100%. First of all, for a lot of people, they think of SPE as technical dissemination, but I think a lot of people also tend to forget about their soft skills. I mean, we're engineers. We would like to work problems and be technical, but man, your soft skills are a huge part of your professional journey. So for me personally, first of all, I began writing papers back in the mid 90s after I'd been in industry for about 10 years. And I'd written several papers by the time I made it to the Dallas section. At the time when I was on the education committee, the Dallas section chair, who's again Danny Bell, he asked me, hey, you've written a lot of papers. I think it'd be good to educate our local section on how to write papers and how to write abstracts. And so he said, could you put together, maybe a half-day seminar that we could offer up to the local members? And so I developed a half-day seminar just to explain to people the process and how to write the abstract and how to get it accepted and things like that. And what was interesting is that turned into, I actually gave that talk at a Gulf Coast section meeting. People heard about it, and now it's actually it's a training webinar that we give in conjunction with ATCE every year. I just gave it this past September. So for me, I mean, I didn't set out to hone a soft skill, but by doing this, writing those papers initially, then it led to presenting. It led to teaching me how to assemble a training class. It taught me how to present and work interactively with the students in the class. And so, I mean, from a soft skill standpoint, it was amazing. And maybe I'll give you another, of course, on the leadership side. Coordinating the Dallas section board certainly taught me how to lead it. And, leading a group of volunteers, they're not being paid to do what they do. That's different than leading at work. It takes some additional skills. And so, you have to learn how to motivate a team. You have to learn how to strive together for a common goal. Our goal was to win the President's Award. I think that's a goal for a lot of sections. But that in the end turned into leadership skills that I then transferred immediately over to my work at Carbo and things like that. So I guess those are two examples, Simeon, of how I think soft skills or leadership skills can be developed through your involvement at SPE and in particular the local section.
That's great, Terry. I completely agree about the soft skills, leadership skills examples that you share, because it is different. It's about influential leadership. We don't have performance review responsibility or authority or bonus authority, and so you do focus on just share goals, share common goals for the section, for your group committee, and I think you said that very well. So I'm going to move on to another aspect, something I want you to expand on. One of the analogies you like to use, Terry, and even highlighted in some of your previous podcasts, is the gym membership versus SPE membership. What specific section programs do you think benefit young professionals or those seeking professional development?
Well, you're right. The gym membership analogy, I just love it, because the more you put into that gym membership, the more you get out of it. And SP membership is the same way. So the more you put in, the more you get out. And, I think that as we go forward as students and young professionals, you're going to need to really take care of 4 important items if you want to create your energy future and your future in our industry. First, you need to learn, you need to participate, you need to volunteer, and you need to learn. And I think sections provide the opportunities for all 4. I think they're obvious, but let's just kind of talk about them. The engaging, you have to engage in lifelong learning. I know that's a cliche, but technology is changing so fast in our industry. You have to, in order to stay up with things, you have to continue to learn. And again, the sections put on technical talks. SP provides 3 distinguished lecturers every year to each section, which are experts in our industry that come from all over the globe. So you can build your local technical skills. You can broaden your horizons. Participating, you have to participate somewhere. And I think at your local section provides you the opportunity to network and to collaborate. We're not going to solve our problems in a vacuum. We need to be able to collaborate with others. And I bet you've had this discussion as well, but I've heard many people who have actually said they've gotten their next job at the local section by networking. So you can't overemphasize the networking and collaboration side. Volunteering teaches you how to work with others for what I call, a common purpose. And again, at the section level, that's what we do. We don't just put on technical events, but we put on things for the community. And that'll provide not just professional fulfillment, but also personal fulfillment, of working together and helping your community, maybe raising funds for scholarships. In the end, we talk about the positive light or the negative light on our industry. And this is one of the ways we can put a positive light on things. And then lastly, as I, kind of said before, if you do all those things, somebody's going to ask you to lead something. And I want to encourage you to say yes. The sections they run themselves. They have their own leadership, their own bank accounts, put on their own events. So work together and lead at the section level. So, I think by participating and volunteering and leading at your local section, it's opened numerous doors of opportunity for me. And I think it will be for you if you put the time and effort into it like you would a gym membership. One of the things I always encourage students to do when they get their first job, the first thing I want you to do is go join your local section. And that's why, because if you do that, then you're on your way to creating your energy future.
Thank you, Terry. This is great. This is very important for student and young professionals and section members to know. I think you described the value of volunteering well. This is the image of SPE in the local sections and then the work that sections do in the communities. It's very impactful. I remember my first volunteering event in the section. It was the Houston Arboretum. We were just planting trees, and now looking back, that was a selfless act to just do something for the betterment of the environment or betterment of the city that I am. And I think that that's an example that most people can probably find many opportunities in their section to volunteer. So Terry, it's been great to talk to you today. Are you planning to talk about next month? What are you planning to talk about next month?
Well, let me just shout out a quick reminder for the awards that are open. The nomination site, the portal, is open for nominating your colleagues for regional and national awards. So that'll go on for about another month. So I encourage everybody to go to sp.org and nominate well-deserving colleagues, recognize for their work in the industry, service, things like that. But as far as next month goes, of course, this month we talked about the regional sections, and I want to move now from the regional level to the technical sections. Technical sections, a lot of people don't necessarily understand and have not seen and been a part of, but we'll dive a little deeper into how SP can help us collaborate on a more global level via our technical sections. So that's what we'll talk about. And I just want to say, Simeon, I really appreciate you taking the time to be a part of the podcast this month. And I want to thank you not only for your service on the board, but also all your involvement over the Gulf Coast section. You're a good example of someone who's creating their energy future. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Terry.
We hope you have enjoyed this edition of the SPE President's Podcast, Creating Our Energy Future with Terry Palisch. New episodes are posted at the beginning of each month, complete with transcripts, on the Journal of Petroleum Technology website at jpt.spe.org.